The crystal chandeliers in the Ashford Grand Hall poured down like honey, sparkling on the silver sets and crystal glasses. The aroma of pan-seared foie gras and premium red wine filled the space, a scent of extreme wealth that I had breathed for 3 years. Today was my 30th birthday, a milestone I once thought would mark the recognition of this family for me.
I sat at the far end of the long banquet table, hands clasped tightly beneath the smooth white silk tablecloth. Clara, my wife, was laughing radiantly beside her younger sister, seemingly completely forgetting her husband's presence. "Now, Woody, don't just sit there in silence like an accountant calculating taxes." The voice of Conrad, my father-in-law, rang out with authority and carried an undisguised mockery.
He stood up, holding an emerald green box in his hand, the iconic symbol of the Rolex brand. The entire hall suddenly went silent, all eyes fixed on the luxury item resting in the hand of the family's most powerful man. "This is a birthday gift for my son-in-law," Conrad said, his voice echoing through the banquet hall. "We want you to understand that in the Ashford house, time is the most precious thing."
He pushed the box toward me, accompanied by a look that I knew well was not love, but a test. I received the box, and the first sensation touching my skin was not the weight of gold or high-grade stainless steel. It was unbelievably light. I opened the lid, and under the spotlight, the watch sparkled with intense suspicion. The sapphire crystal they advertised was actually just a cheap layer of plastic, reflecting light in an opaque manner. The watch hands moved hesitantly, emitting dry, raspy click-clack sounds instead of the flawless smoothness of a Swiss movement. I felt the blood in my body freeze as I saw the "Made in Switzerland" text printed 1 millimeter off-center. This was a fake Rolex, the cheapest kind found at roadside flea markets.
"Oh, look! He's so moved, he's speechless!" Thomas, the family's pampered younger son-in-law, laughed heartily. At the same time, Mrs. Blythe, my mother-in-law, gently placed a key with the 4-ring logo on Thomas's hand. "And this is a gift for Thomas because a brand-new Audi is waiting in the yard." Raucous applause rang out, completely drowning out my humiliating silence with the fake watch.
I looked at the fake Rolex on my wrist, then at the sparkling Patek Philippe on Conrad's wrist. This injustice was no longer a coincidence. It was a message sent cruelly. They viewed me as a parasite, a mediocre money counter, unworthy of anything truly valuable. But Conrad had forgotten one important thing about a financial auditor. "I don't just know how to count money. I know how to see through the fake numbers hidden behind this glamorous facade. This fake watch was the final straw for my patience. It felt loose on my wrist, just as my loyalty to this family was beginning to crumble. I will wear it, and I will endure this mockery a little longer, because when the time truly strikes, this very fakery will be what pulls their entire empire into the abyss."
In the eyes of the Ashford family, I was a security engineer for numbers, a mere electrician of spreadsheets and tax reports. 3 years ago, when I married Clara, I brought all the passion of a man wanting to build a home through his own merit. I used my auditing skills to save Conrad's company from at least 3 serious financial audits. I stayed up all night to legalize the massive debts Thomas incurred from casinos in Macau. Every time I finished a report, Conrad would only pat my shoulder with a patronizing look. "Well done, Woody. Family is family. You must know how to contribute for the greater cause." The word family from his mouth carried the bitter taste of manipulation, like an invisible chain tightening around my throat. I was always the one sitting in the most obscured position at social parties, where the light of success never reached.
Clara, the wife I once loved dearly, also gradually got caught in the swirl of contempt her parents held for me. "Don't be so sensitive, Woody," she would often say when I complained about Thomas publicly mocking my old suit. "Dad just wants to test your patience. You should be grateful to be a part of the Ashford name." That gratitude was like sugar-coated venom, seeping into my blood and making me feel lowly every day.
I remembered the afternoons sitting alone in the cramped office in the basement, surrounded by the smell of old paper and dry ink. That was the only place I felt I truly had control, where numbers never knew how to lie. 3 months ago, while reviewing the Employee Welfare Fund for the corporation, I discovered a strange loophole. A payment worth $180,000 was noted as a strategic consulting fee, but had no supporting invoice. The timing of that money leaving the company account matched perfectly with the day Conrad appeared with a limited edition Patek Philippe on his hand. That watch sparkled cruelly on his wrist, like living evidence of the decay within.
I looked at the fake Rolex on my hand, feeling the ridiculous contrast between their fakery toward me and their embezzlement for themselves. They gave me a cheap toy to mock, while they were stealing the future of hundreds of employees to buy fake glamour. Thomas, the pampered younger son-in-law, was actually nothing more than a shadow without the numbers I had painstakingly arranged.
He could drive the new Audi, wear suits worth thousands of dollars, but he would never understand the power of one who sees the truth. I began to silently collect files, not out of momentary rage, but with the composure of a hunter setting a net. Every page of the financial report was a piece of the betrayal puzzle the Ashford clan had painted.
Blythe often used her monogrammed handkerchief to wipe away non-existent dust, but she couldn't wipe away the rot in her husband's books. I had learned to turn my face into a blank canvas, emotionless and resistant. I let them mock, and I let them consider me a fool who couldn't tell real from fake. They didn't know that behind that submissive facade was a purge plan calculated to the last decimal point.
The more I looked at the fake Rolex running the wrong time on my hand, the more I saw their moment of collapse approaching. My silence was not submission. but the accumulation of a financial storm about to sweep away everything they worshipped. This birthday party was the beginning of an end. I will show them that the price of arrogance is never paid with fake watches.
It will be paid with the very freedom and honor they are trying to protect. The cage has begun to crack from within, and I am the one holding the only key to swing it open. The following weeks passed in a fake stillness, like a calm sea before a tsunami hits. I still wore that fake Rolex on my hand every day, even as the cheap gold plating began to tarnish and leave dirty green streaks on my wrist.
Its ticking was uneven, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, much like the anxious heartbeat of the rotting Ashford Empire. Thomas missed no opportunity to turn me into a joke at family meetings or light social gatherings. "Look, our auditor is still cherishing that toy," he would say while shaking his Audi car keys in front of me. Like attracts like, a fake person wearing a fake thing.
I only smiled, a smile I had painstakingly practiced in the mirror to look just submissive and resigned enough. His contempt was the best fertilizer for my plan, as it made them completely lose their guard. Night after night, I still confined myself in the basement office, where the smell of dirt and old papers covered me like armor.
The light from the computer screen reflected jumping numbers in my eyes, numbers that told of Conrad's bottomless greed. The $180,000 consulting fee was not just a single loophole. It was the start of a long noose, connecting directly from the Employee Welfare Fund to this family's luxury items. I found the invoice for the Patek Philippe 5270p at a discreet watch shop in Manhattan, paid for using a hidden company account. In the world of the wealthy, a watch is not just a tool to tell time. It is a vote of confidence, or in this case, a sentence. My preparation carried similar lethality, but instead of liquid, I used undeniable ironclad evidence. I called Marcus, an old friend and a top watch appraisal expert in Charleston.
"Woody, that Patek is rare. If it was bought with dirty money, it will be the detonator for the entire corporation," Marcus whispered over the phone. I requested Marcus to appear at the Ashford Group's 25th anniversary gala as an honored guest of mine. The Ashford family would never suspect a watch expert, as they always craved for people like him to praise their elegance.
Tension began to escalate as the anniversary approached. The atmosphere in the Ashford mansion was thick with deceit. Clara began urging me to dress more formally so as not to embarrass her in front of the major shareholders. "You should put that cheap thing away and temporarily borrow an old watch from Dad," she said when she saw me still wearing the fake Rolex. "I don't want everyone thinking the husband of the eldest Ashford daughter is so poor." I looked deep into my wife's eyes, wondering if she truly didn't know what her father had done, or if she just chose to close her eyes to enjoy it. The most painful betrayal does not come from an enemy, but from the person lying next to you every night,
who disregards your existence. I secretly sent an invitation to Mr. Vanderbilt, the largest shareholder, and one who always demanded absolute financial transparency. Vanderbilt was a friend of Sterling's father, a man who worshipped traditional values and honesty. If he knew his money was being worn on Conrad's wrist, his wrath would be unstoppable. Every evening at the dinner table, Conrad still prattled on about sustainable growth and business ethics.
The Patek Philippe on his hand sparkled under the candlelight, like a scathing mockery of the employees whose benefits were being cut. I felt a loathing rise in my throat, a feeling just like seeing Sutton pretend to be a good sister. I had reprogrammed the financial reports to be projected during the gala. One click would replace the fake growth charts with actual cash flows running into Conrad's private pocket.
Thomas continued to brag about the new Audi, completely unaware it was bought with money meant for workers' insurance. They were predators reveling in victory, completely unaware their prey had turned into the hunter. The scent of white lilies and premium champagne began to be prepared for the fateful evening. I touched the plastic crystal of the fake Rolex, felt its cheapness, and smiled. It was trash. Yes.
But it was the trash that would expose all the filth the Ashford family was trying to cover with silk and diamonds. I checked the audit file one last time. Every page carried the coldness of judgment. There was no more fear in my heart, only a terrifying composure of one who has nothing left to lose. The cage was set. The bait was in place, and the monsters were confidently walking in, unaware.
I would not just destroy a party. I would destroy a fake legend built on lies. Time was ticking away, second by second, on that inaccurate fake watch. And for the Ashford clan, every passing second was one step closer to their final judgment day. I put on the simplest black suit, wore the fake watch, and prepared to enter the lion's den.
Tonight's glamour would soon be replaced by the darkness of truth, and I would be the last one standing to watch it collapse. The hall of the Grand Charleston Hotel tonight was radiant in a frivolous way. The scent of thousands of white lily branches mingled with luxury perfume created an atmosphere thick with fakery. I stood at the edge of the banquet hall, holding a champagne glass, but not drinking, eyes calmly observing the Ashford dynasty reveling in their own aura. The fake Rolex on my wrist was still ticking, a distorted rhythm, like a time bomb counting down. Thomas approached me, a red wine glass in hand, the jubilant face of one who just found a new game. He lightly tapped the plastic crystal of the watch I was wearing, the sound echoing dry and cheap amidst the melodious symphony music. "Everyone, attention please," Thomas shouted.
the sound amplified through the speaker system, making the whole room gradually fall silent. Today is the corporation's 25th anniversary, and our eldest son-in-law, Woody, is still wearing the priceless gift Dad gave him. He pulled my hand into the circle of major shareholders who were looking at me with curious eyes mixed with pity. "We have Mr. Marcus here, the world's leading watch appraisal expert. Why don't we let Mr. Marcus praise Woody's excellent aesthetic taste?" Conrad stood there, champagne glass in hand, the Patek Philippe on his wrist, sparkling under the stage lights like an ultimate mockery. He smiled, a smile of full patronization, thinking I would bow in humiliation before the entire high society. Marcus stepped out from the crowd, looked at me for a second, then held my wrist with an extremely serious expression. "This watch," Marcus paused, his voice ringing clearly through the microphone. "It is the lowest grade fake I have seen in my 30-year career." Whispers began to rise, then quickly turned into malicious snickers. Clara turned pale. She stepped back as if wanting to flee from the humiliation named her husband. Thomas laughed so hard he almost dropped his wine glass, face flushed with triumph. "Oh my God, did Dad give the wrong fake, or did Woody sell the real one to pay off debts?" I did not bow my head. I looked straight into Conrad's eyes, felt his triumph reaching its peak. "I am truly sorry, Dad," I said, my voice so calm it made Conrad freeze for a beat. "Perhaps the fault is mine. I did not know how to cherish such a special gift." I stepped closer to Conrad. In a random moment, I tripped over the edge of the banquet table. The champagne glass in my hand tilted, the entire liquid drenching Conrad's expensive suit sleeve, right at the position of the Patek Philippe. "Oh, I am truly sorry," I exclaimed, hand quickly pulling out a handkerchief to wipe it for him. "Mr. Marcus, while you are here, could you please help wipe my father's beautiful Patek Philippe? It is 100% authentic, and I'm sure everyone here wants to admire such a masterpiece to regain the family's honor." I pulled Conrad's hand into the light, not letting him react. Marcus received the watch, took out a magnifying glass, and peered at the serial number on the back of the platinum case. The entire hall held its breath. Vanderbilt, the largest shareholder, stepped closer, eyebrows raised in suspicion. Marcus's face suddenly transformed from professional to an expression of extreme shock. "This watch is indeed authentic," Marcus said, his voice trembling for a reason other than admiration. "But this serial number, it matches exactly with the watch reported as a bribe item in the Employee Welfare Fund embezzlement case." A deadly silence filled the hall, so heavy one could hear a leaf falling outside the window. Conrad tried to snatch his hand back, but Mr. Vanderbilt placed his heavy hand on his shoulder. "Explain, Conrad," Vanderbilt said, his voice dropping like thunder before a storm. "Why is an item bought with the insurance money of thousands of workers resting on your hand?" I smiled, this time a real smile, cold and sharp. I pulled from my inner pocket a thin audit file containing the weight of a nuclear bomb. "Perhaps I can help you explain, Mr. Vanderbilt," I spoke up, voice echoing and firm. This is a detailed cash flow report showing the $180,000 sum transferred from the Employee Welfare Fund to a hidden account. And here is the matching invoice from the watch shop. The buyer is named Conrad Ashford. He used the lives and safety of his employees in exchange for a symbol of glamour. Thomas stood frozen, his Audi car keys falling from his hand, ringing a dry clink on the marble floor. Clara looked at me with terrified eyes, seemingly unable to believe her mediocre husband was the one holding the sword of justice. You betrayed this family, Conrad roared, face turning from pale to purple with rage and fear. Family? Family does not use fakes to humiliate relatives and does not use the blood money of employees for private gain, I replied. The hall doors suddenly swung open.
4 men in suits with economic police badges entered, their presence bringing the coldness of prison. Mr. Conrad Ashford, you are under arrest for embezzlement and large-scale financial fraud, the leading officer declared. Conrad collapsed right in the middle of the hall, the Patek Philippe sparkling on his wrist, now looking like a platinum handcuff.
I removed the fake Rolex from my wrist, looked at it one last time, then threw it straight into the pile of shattered glasses on the table. Your time is up, Conrad. I looked at Clara, who was sobbing in humiliation, and I felt immense relief. The feeling was just like Pamela seeing Sutton collapse amidst the cake. This was not just revenge. This was a cleansing. My heart beat a powerful and free rhythm, completely shaking off the dust of 3 years of contempt. The party continued in chaos, but for me, it ended the moment the truth was revealed. The monster had been swallowed by its own greed, and I, finally, was completely, truly free from this fake gilded cage. The next morning, the sunlight of Charleston shone through the new apartment window, bringing the scent of cleanliness and silence. The city appeared out there, bustling, but no longer bringing a sense of threat or suffocation like the Ashford mansion. My phone vibrated on the wooden table. A message from Clara appeared on the lock screen.
Woody, please. Dad is completely collapsing in detention. I can't believe you were heartless enough to do this to us. You know well Dad only wanted the best for the whole family's future. Family is family. Please come back and help us withdraw the complaint. I read every word, but this time my heart no longer felt the familiar guilt that had choked me for 3 years.
The phrase, family is family, to them was never affection. It was only a rope to pull me into the mud whenever they were in trouble. I calmly hit the delete message command without leaving a trace. Then I blocked Clara's number, ending her final manipulation efforts. I blocked Thomas's number, who now must be scrambling to sell the Audi and expensive suits to hire a defense lawyer. And finally, I blocked Mrs.
Blythe's number, who still always used her monogrammed handkerchief to cover her contempt for me. Each press of the block button was a time I felt the weight of thousands of hours of humiliation fall off my shoulders. The divorce papers were sent by my lawyer this morning,
accompanied by clear asset division terms based on the financial wrongdoings of the Ashford clan. The court will return to me what is worthy of the effort and patience I poured into their bottomless pit. I looked down at my wrist, now completely bare, with no real Rolex and no trace of that cheap, fake Rolex. That emptiness brought a strangely full and peaceful feeling. I don't need a luxury item or a glamorous name to prove my human value. My time from now on is my own. No one can steal or price it with fakes. The monster of greed has been locked in the steel cage it created for itself. The gilded cage imprisoning my soul for so long has officially swung open.